It's a nice row.
All right, good morning. Welcome in Friday, May 27th, Friday for long weekend. So remember, site securement. It's always Memorial Day weekend we get broken into on our job sites. So good reminder. This week's code of conduct is to speak and act supportively of ECI as our company and of our workers. Mr. Dow, you have anything to add on this code item this week?
Sure. A little insight into how to be that way. It's about respect and being positive. If your mind is in the positive, productive solutions, taking responsibility, having hope, all that stuff. In other words, remember the above the line and below the line behaviors that we talked about. If we're above the line, I think it's going to be really easy to speak and act supportively. Even when we have problems and issues out there, we can be supportive in trying to figure out a solution. And I think that's kind of the engineer's construction way, is when we have a problem or an issue, we should see it as an opportunity to solve and to make things better. And to speak and act supportively sometimes involves hard conversations, but it involves honor and respect and the way that we deal with the issues. So that's for me. That's like a can of worms when I think about that one, as you can already tell. But just be positive and think about the fact that we can fix any problem or issue that we have in our lives and with our culture, just like we do when we go out there and we're presented with a tricky engineering situation to solve. So I guess think about those things and be positive, and I think this one will be easy for you.
Thanks, Ben. So safety news, another 7 days without recordable. Nice job this week. Let's finish the week out strong today. Again, remember that JHA to start the day, communicate the hazards and the expectations, how we're going to control those hazards. This week, wanted to highlight our kind of annual series just on utility strikes, underground damage prevention and response. So far so good this season on regarding all the sites that we've opened up. We've done a pretty good job with underground utilities. We are seeing an uptick on USIC not responding in time. However, we have controls in place, so notify health and safety or your project manager if you don't have any marks. We've got some contacts information that we can get out there and hopefully get those utilities marked. We also have 5 locators available at ECI that we can hand down and cross-train our crews to facilitate and to help try to locate what we have if we need it. So our biggest thing and our best practice is always we want to excavate with care. We always want to remember that tolerance zone. It's something that we have kind of preloaded in our JHAs when we come to underground utility section in our JHAs is that tolerance zone. We need to always make sure that we are not mechanically digging within 18 inches of a known underground utility. So this is a good little demonstration of what that means. So how do we go about is our best practices is through our administrative controls is always have a spotter. Let's always make sure that we don't have an excavator operator digging around kind of a known utility corridor without a spotter. So we should have someone always making sure it's teams of 2 out there, and we're always looking for trench line or any other known facility that we might come in contact with. Preserve those markings. It's easy for us to lose those marks. So again, in your field book, if you have to make offsets or put in stakes, so you can always go back to where those utilities might have been. Also I know we use Gunner and Mike and Richard quite a bit for, shooting GPS on some of these longer longitudinal projects. Again, that's another good best practice. So never assume that a utility runs straight or is center in the markings. Again, there is a variance about 24 inches, about 2 feet, but we never want to assume that locators are right on the money. Let's go, let's hand dig, let's pothole, let's find those utilities before we really start getting aggressive with our excavation or directional drilling. Do not assume the depth of the utility. and do not excavate within the tolerance zones with mechanical equipment until we can visually see it, or either cross-bore until we visually see the utility and we know we got clearance. So if we follow those best practices and a situation comes up where the utility is not marked, we got a leg to stand on to not have to pay that bill for the damage. So let's try to remember those. Something that we're very good at ECI is underground damage prevention of utilities. So let's just keep up the good work. Again, contact health and safety if there's any questions on prevention. So when something does happen, we want to make sure that we're getting on the phone right away to try to figure out the best way to respond to the utility. So the first step to identify the type of facility that was damaged. Sometimes that is really hard with direct buried utilities. The best thing that we can do is call the 811, notify that a damage of a facility was there, so they can at least contact all the known facilities inside that dig-safe area, and get the Comcast, the consolidated communication, get those representatives on site so they can kind of iron that out. We also want to make sure that if it is gas, if it is power, we want to make sure the site is safe and back off our equipment if we can, to make sure the situation is safe and under control. So when we're dealing with gas, if the gas is leaking, let's move to a safe distance away, call 911. We can contact Vermont Gas and follow our internal reporting process. Again, all this information is in Teams under the files folder for a lot of point of contacts. If it's power, majority it's going to be Green Mountain Power. So let's move a safe distance away from the utility and contact the facility owner. 911 if you're unsure. Remember, don't touch. And remember the touch and scent potential. So we really want to be really careful with that type of exposure if damaging an underground power line. Keep all employees and bystanders away until instructed that the power line is de-energized, and then follow the internal reporting process. Again, water, there's been some fatalities in New England in the last couple of years regarding water breaks in deep excavations. So again, remove personnel from the trench right away. If possible, turn off the water source, notify the facility owner, and again, follow the internal reporting process. So, these are all kind of dangerous situations that we might take for granted because we're around it every single day, 365 days a year. But again, it can be a very dangerous situation if we don't put the right emphasis on using spotters, knowing what our known facilities are, creating offsets, digging with care, following the tolerance zone. All those best practices will help avoid that, but we need to make sure we have them prioritized correctly. So let's continue our safe excavation and trench work out there and directional drilling. But let's not let our guard down so we don't have to make these difficult conversations or have these difficult conversations or have to make these phone calls to 911 or a facility owner. Anything to add, Ken?
Oh, I think you got it covered there, Matt. If anyone has any questions about anything related to underground excavation, just certainly check with Matt. Okay, turning it over to me, Matt.
Take it away, Ken.
Okay, I'm going to have Ben McKinney start off with an announcement on fleet maintenance.
Thanks, Ken. Can you guys see my screen?
Got it.
Yep.
Just wanted to talk real quickly about diesel exhaust fluid, DEF or urea. So as a lot of you guys know, DEF is required in most of our modern, larger equipment and trucks. All Tier 4 final diesel engines over 74 horsepower require diesel exhaust fluid. So you're going to see that on most, medium size and up excavators, loaders, big trucks, diesel trucks, F550s, etc. So DEF is a mixture of water and urea that gets injected into hot exhaust to create a secondary combustion process with a catalyst and turn nitrogen oxide to break that down into nitrogen and oxygen, two main components of air. So we have to add DEF. It's not in the diesel. This is something you have to add. So if you're operating, an F550, or if you're a truck driver and you have a big truck, or if you're an operator and you're running equipment that takes it, you should have a gauge in the vehicle. In lieu of a gauge, there would be a warning light that comes on before it's out. It's important to fill DEF up when the gauge gets low or when the warning light comes on, because these vehicles and equipment will go into limp mode without it. It's legally, you're required to keep this system in operation, and the engine will derate if that tank goes down to within about 5%. There's no need to try to keep it topped off. It's not like diesel in that sense where we are, concerned about trying to stay above half necessarily. May not be a terrible idea, but because it has water in it, one of the components is water, we're not as worried about condensation in a DEF tank. However, when that light comes on, it's important to fill it. So when you are filling it, guys in the shop would prefer that you fill it from the 2.5 gallon containers that we have in the shop. It is available at the pump. We'd prefer that you use the sealed containers from the shop, although in a pinch, using it from the pump is certainly better than nothing. Don't cross-contaminate. One of the real pitfalls with DEF is putting DEF in the diesel tank or putting diesel in the DEF tank. Do not do that. I thought I had a picture, but I don't. Should be a blue cap on the DEF tank and green cap on the diesel tank. Just like a saw or something. Just open one at a time. The diesel nozzle should not fit in the DEF, but just be very careful not to do that. It can cause some pretty significant damage to both systems. These 2.5 gallon containers come with their own nozzle. Use that. It's important not to get stuff and contaminants in the DEF tank, so just use the nozzle that's provided with it. Don't use a dirty funnel or something from the back of your truck. And when it comes to storage and handling, there's some details there too. So DEF does freeze. That's why these vehicles are equipped with the DEF tank heater. So when storing, try to store it above freezing, and don't let it get too hot. Really, try to keep it below 85. So probably staying in a hot enclosed job trailer long term isn't a great spot for it. Do not put it in direct sunlight. DEF does break down with UV rays, and it's corrosive. So in the plastic container, it's fine. If you spill it all over a vehicle, you need to wash that off with water so it doesn't corrode. I think that's about all I've got. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask the guys in the shop and they can help you out.
Yeah, and I would say if you do spill it, you should check the material data sheets, right, Matt? Which you probably have one for the DEF, I think, on Teams.
Yep. Yeah, located again, Foreman Super Files Library. You'll see a link to our SDS, and then you can search by just typing in DEF, and it'll pull up the SDS.
Cool.
And just spoiler alert, I agree. You should definitely look at the safety data sheet. Not too many health concerns. I mean, I don't think you want to pour it on your face, but it's largely benign. If you got a little bit on your skin, just wash your hands. But yeah, check out the data sheet.
Okay, all set?
Good job, Ben. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. I'll take over here. See if I can get the right window. There we go. Can you see my screen?
We got it.
All right. So for announcements, we've got Memorial Day weekend right ahead of us. So Monday is the official holiday, and ECI offices are closed. So we need to all submit our time records by 6 a.m. on Tuesday morning. And that allows everybody to do all their processing and approvals. And also a big reminder is also to secure our job sites for the long weekend to prevent against theft, vandalism, and hazard to the public. I just got a quick note or two on a few notes on doing your time card. I'll go through this quickly and we'll go through it again next week, but it's best and most accurate to do the time entry at the end of each day to minimize errors rather than try to recall what it was from earlier in the week. And a big thing for next week is take extra care when selecting the month at the beginning of each month. So at the beginning, meaning starting next week, which we're in June, just keep in mind that it's easy to put June 31st or, 6/31 instead of 5/31, meaning it would have been, it is correctly done as say the 31st of May, see, making that mistake, but 31st of May when you're doing the time entries for next week, because you're in the habit of doing the month of June versus a previous month of May. So what that tells me, everybody who's reviewing and comes across your entries as an approver, is that, oh, they probably waited till the end of the week and they've forgotten that the earlier part of the week was in a previous month. So I also got a note here on how to deal with the payroll for next week when we do, and that's next week, not this week, do the 8 hours of holiday time for Monday the 30th, which is a Memorial Day holiday. And there's instructions here on the Job 14 cost code OH14 and earn code HOL. So that's the process for when you do it next week. And ECI is changing its banking services, as we talked about, to Muskoma Bank, and that will be in effect on June 1st, sometime during that day. We're still in the healthcare premium holiday, so that's great news. We have a list of new employees. We have Tom Wizzle, who is a returnee. We have Gina. Hey, Gina, pronounce your last name for us.
Catanzarita.
Okay. But Gina is the kind of a part-time HR person to help us out. And then Hunter Tabor. And just got to move this little box out of my way. There we go. And then Rupresh Gurung, I hope I pronounced your name properly. And Owen Palmer. So we've got several new people this week. We're pretty excited to see you and welcome aboard. And everybody, make sure you introduce yourselves and make them feel welcome here at ECI. I have the link to the primary care wellness program. And then also below, I have the financial wellness item. We've been following through on a lot of the 401k things to know about. And for this week, I just want to keep everyone in the loop on this. The Newport Group, which is our record keeper, just recently in April merged with another similar firm, Ascensus. And this merger is considered a positive move for the Newport clients, and Ascensus will eventually phase out Newport Group. So they'll be rebranding under Ascensus. So there's a little announcement here from Newport Group. But as of today, I haven't seen any, or yesterday, I hadn't seen any changes, visible changes to the rebranding, but that would be coming. So just be aware.
Ken, I had something to add.
Yes, go ahead, Ben.
I think you might. I thought you asked me to do that earlier, so I was thinking about it, and I wanted to add just the fact that all of you employees are the most important thing that we have. You're our most important resource. And so our culture to us, as you know, from our code item that we talk about every week and the way we conduct ourselves, is important to the point where a lot of little things that bother us and distract us are HR related issues. And sometimes it's little things like knowing different things about our benefits. And oftentimes Ursula and I have tried, hard to try to fill that gap of knowing a lot of these things, and we're kind of behind it a little bit in that sometimes we have to ask for help from consultants, or we have to Google it, or we have to go to the SHRM Association to try to get answers for everyone. And sometimes it's a little bit of a lag there. So our thinking in getting Gina here, and it's really awesome because Gina is like the top of her field, and we like having all kinds of different talent here being at the top of their field. She knows the standard of practice of HR, and I think she did it for 30 plus years, which is a lot more than 30 plus maybe, Gina, but she did it for a lot of years, and she knows the standard practice of the HR stuff. And she currently comes to us from another company called ECI, where she worked, the smaller version of ECI with the small letters. And so in an effort for us to have a really good handle on the standard of practice and to have someone that should not be retired yet come back and get excited about maybe even pushing up us to the next level of HR. That's what we did. We wanted to invest a little bit more into the culture so that we could take care of these little things and we could get ourselves to be the best at HR, in the best company at HR, just like we always strive to be the best in how we conduct ourselves, in how we do our work and perform. So that was the thinking. And so HR is such an important thing, and a lot of people think of it maybe in the wrong way. It's to provide support to you all. So if it's appropriate, just a quick observation from Gina on what she's found since she's been here and how she can help us. What do you think, Gina?
I gotta say, like, I'm really impressed with the engineers, operations. I mean, doing daily payroll, your manpower placement, process. I've been around for, like you said, 30 plus years. And, you know, kind of came out of it and then kind of came back again. Like, I was really excited about the opportunity to come in and talk to you guys, and I'm really excited about working with you. I mean, already I feel like I've been there for 10 years and I've been there probably 15 hours. So you have a lot of the same practices that I'm familiar with. I think there's some opportunities to bring maybe some new things to your company. And I know I've learned like a ton. Just when you think like you think you know it all, you know what they say, you don't know what you don't know. And so I got to say, like, hats off to you guys and your team because it's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. We work hard at it, and welcome aboard.
Thank you. I'm
Take us to the
excited.
next level.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Okay, Ken, thanks.
Okay, the weather outlook, I guess we got a little rain coming and thunderstorms later this afternoon, so watch for those. But overall, and there is some heavy rain predicted for tonight, according to this forecast. So make sure your job sites are, secure from erosion and that kind of thing, because we won't be around for a couple days until Tuesday morning. Hopefully, we won't get a call on anything to say we have to go respond to clean things up. And then the COVID policies are listed. I just skipped by it, but I'm going to move on to the Heather Bush Road emergency culvert repairs, and Brian's going to talk about that. Ready, Brian?
Yep, I think so.
You want me to advance the slides?
Yep, I'm just gonna grab my screen here.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Unless you're gonna scroll for me, Ken.
I can scroll for you. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Just tell me when.
Fine then. Okay, so we got a call from the town of Essex about a sinkhole they discovered, and they were worried about their road. So we went and did an assessment for them and ended up closing the road and found that they had a storm pipe, very old, that crossed the road and went down one of the neighbors' properties and outfalled on the other side. The problem with it was really deep. It was like a 20-foot deep culvert on the other end. So we had to come up with a solution really quick, which was to put another culvert in, keep that one running long enough to keep the water going, put a new one in, and we raised the grade and actually put it up on top of the old one so that we didn't have to go so deep. For some reason, they had a catch basin, a series of them that collected to one and then went into that old culvert, which we have no idea how they connected it down there because there was no manhole connecting them. So we then had to add a structure to the job so that we could properly connect the catch basins into it, which ended up being another 15-inch culvert. In order to put that in, the neighbor didn't want it on his property. So we figured a way to put it in the road, which costs a little more because we had to take up a lot of the curb and sidewalk to be able to do it. Overall, the project became very successful and roads back open. And that was the end of that one.
Turned into a can of worms, huh, Brian?
Yeah, it did. The hardest part there, and everybody should be aware of the people in the neighborhood, no matter what we did, we couldn't keep them out of the job site. As soon as the guys put up the LOD tape, they were all walking. We actually saw a guy with a baby in his carriage walk right across the sinkhole. I couldn't understand it. I talked to him after and I said, listen, you could have fell through right there. I fell through myself.
Right.
When I was checking it out, I went right through and I think I went right up to my waist. So it was really important to keep the site secure every day. And that's all I got for that one.
Okay, next slide. There we go.
I'm still stuck on the first. There you go.
Got it?
Yeah,
Okay.
so this was actually, they were taking the box out.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Removing the box from starting back at the catch basin. Can see the kind of the grate sticking up behind the box there. They had got that section in and moving on, so we need to get the box out of there. We left that in for a long time because of the reason of the people. It gave a nice barrier so they couldn't get near the ditch.
Yeah, you got power lines above too, it looks like.
Yeah, we had to deal with the power lines on the inlet side. This was the guys, I believe they were working around the water line, which was a transite pipe, which it did end up on the end. After everything was all secured and backfilled, and it did end up breaking.
Yeah.
The settlement force or something happened. Make sure you guys, when you backfill those pipes, you use stone. If you use sand, it'll definitely break on you.
Oh, when you're compacting it.
Yeah, you can't compact, but
yeah,
you got to chink some stone in there, otherwise it'll settle and crack. With the sand, there's just no compaction.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Hey.
Oh, I'm having trouble. Got a weird noise on my computer too.
If there are problems with how this is displayed, view in web.
I got a beeping noise on my computer. You guys got a beeping noise?
Nope.
You want me to try sharing mine?
Yep.
So we
Brian,
can
take
get the
over.
pictures?
Ken's overloaded his machine already.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know how many windows I keep open all the time.
Yeah, I do.
Can you guys see that? And
Yeah.
I got it going, Brian. Let me know what you want to do.
can you see mine now or no?
We see something.
I see something.
Yep, we
Yeah,
see the truck and the excavator.
Okay. And
You see
then let's see here. That right there is just I think we're finishing the crossing.
Yeah.
That picture. Not much of a picture. This is the guys, they're coring the hole into the structure. Obviously we didn't know kind of where we are going to end up. So, we got a blank structure and cored our own holes so that we could hit the grade that we needed to hit.
Ah, you got the hydraulic one. That's good.
Yeah. And here's Greg and Rob and Joe and the guys working on the structure part.
And Vinny, right?
Yep, and Vinny. Here's Rob in there making their connection. I think he was leveling the structure right there.
Kind of looks like they're using the excavator to
Yeah,
Yep.
and then
structure
chink
moved
the
around.
stone under.
Yep.
You rock it to one side, chink some stone under there, get it level.
Yep.
Some backfilling going on. That was the 15-inch from the catch basin right there. And another structure backfilling around. Here's the outfall. We got our silt fence in to try and catch any of the soils before they got too far. We put some fabric and then some 1- up on the outlet side to armor the bank. The owner actually asked us if we could put some topsoil and grubbings on top of the rock because he wanted to look more natural. He didn't want to see the rock. Here's the inlet side. Grass is going nice.
It sure is.
Yeah. And here's all the new sidewalk we had to put in and curb line to get the new structure in.
And ready for pavement.
Yep.
Even it
I
today.
think Jim's actually paving that today.
Yep.
We wanted to give it some time to settle because we weren't sure when we flowable filled the old culvert. We weren't sure that we got it all, so we wanted to give it a couple days to see if it would settle and we could figure out if we had to add more or not. And here's
Alright.
Kevin.
Bring him on. So Kevin, it's Memorial Day weekend here, and it's a time to think about our fallen heroes. And Kevin is one of those, and he worked for ECI. He was killed in action back on May 25th, 2004, while in Iraq. And we miss Kevin, and he was a big part of ECI at the time. He was a project engineer. He brought a lot of energy and stuff like that to the company and to our culture. And, it was just such a sad, hard thing to see. And he left behind, of course, his wife, Heather, and he had a very young son and daughter, Allison and Nathaniel. As you can see, this was like 18 years ago. So the kids are essentially grown up now. So just wanted to make sure we all have Kevin and others who made that ultimate sacrifice in our minds. It's what keeps us free here. So we salute all our veterans, and we're honored to have you all as our colleagues. So that's what I got. Pass it back to you guys. Back to you, Matt. Have a safe day out there.
Yep. Thanks, Ken.
Thank you.
Have a great Friday all, and have a good, happy Memorial Day weekend. Let's be safe today. Let me know attendance if you can. That'd be fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. Take care.
Be safe, everybody.